when there's an injustice, whether it's against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down. Don't sit down on them, because they need you.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and I'm so excited for today's show because we got two amazing guests and one debut on this show. I mean, it's kind of like an unmasking. I feel so nervous. You guys know him as Incredibly Average, that Brian fellow. Oh my God, he's here in the flesh along with the amazing TheRealLaura B. These are two insanely important warriors on the justice for Johnny Depp. So happy to have you both here. Welcome, that Brian fellow and TheRealLaura B. How you guys doing?
Good, good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, wow.
Good to be here finally.
Brian, I'm gonna say it. I know I'm embarrassed, but you are a good-looking dude, man. I was already in love with your voice. But look at you, just seem so nice looking, and those eyes. Bravo, sir. Your work. I gotta embarrass him a little bit because, guys, I know I plugged him hard, and I'm so glad so many of you guys went over and subscribed. I saw that jump was wild and so well deserved because Brian's coverage and summaries and subtitles and all the stuff he did on those tapes is really what got me motivated to this trial. I mean, those tapes were so eye-opening, and the way he just very civilly, factually broke it all down with his insight and breakdowns were incredible. If you haven't already gone over there, he's not average. He's incredibly awesome. And I just want to thank you. So grateful to have you on the show, man. How has it been seeing all your hard work pay off and all these people finally coming around to the reality of Amber Heard? Brian, how's it been?
Good.
Good. Yeah, can you hear? He's having some sound issue. How's it been? Can you hear me? I think he's having trouble here. How's it been finally having justification for Johnny and people's eyes opening up on Amber Heard?
It's been wild. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm having some technical difficulties on my end, but yeah. I want to thank you for giving me that nod last week. I really do. That was crazy. I think I doubled my subscribers since last Friday. It's been wild seeing people jump on there and say, "Wow, this is 3 years old. This is 3-year-old information." Or my channel, I think, is almost 4 years old now. So it's been a little validating, I guess would be the word, to see so many people bouncing over and seeing stuff for the first time that people like Laura, yourself, and so many others have known for years now. It's been nice. It's been humbling. Yeah,
Laura, so many in this movement. Laura, you've been here since the beginning, but I mean, you would credit Brian as well. The way he sort of put those tapes together, I feel like, was an eye-opening, instrumental moment, and people really joining the Justice for Johnny movement. Would you agree, Laura?
Absolutely. It changed the entire wave. It was a tidal wave in the opposite direction to support Johnny. It was huge. It was huge.
Yeah, so I mean, both of you have been on this so hard, and I'm so honored to have you and become friendly and use you guys as knowledge because, I've been covering this last couple years-ish, and then it's like things ever since these tapes really came out, which I guess, a couple years ago, and through the UK trial, so many people just sort of didn't know what to expect. I feel like it was news back then, but the UK system and the Sun and all these people just sort of continued to just defame him, and the truth did not prevail. It was really frustrating as someone who was following that trial through you guys, how much was just ignored. And we're going to talk a little bit about it. Justice Nickel, I'll call him. I think he's corrupt. I think he was completely off base. And the way that went down was really sad. But it seems like, it was almost a rehearsal in a way where now they really are honing in on the most important details, and the public is really getting to see it now, televised and all, and the truth is coming out. Whatever happens with this case, I think it's pretty undeniable to show that Amber's not winning. Like, they're not believing her. Her credibility is shot. No matter what the PR and the media say, they're not believing her. I'm talking everyday people all the time who have been seeing this in coverage of ours, and my channel's been exploding, and people are like, "Oh my God, I'm watching your Johnny Depp show. She's the worst." It's just encouraging to see people finally come forward. So today we're going to talk about next week's guests. Whitney, her sister, and Ellen Barkin are two people that are allegedly supposed to be speaking on behalf of Amber. But I'm just excited to have Brian and Laura here to sort of talk general. I'll go back to you, Laura. How's it been? I mean, I know Amber did her big performance. She thinks she's winning. But are you feeling the tides turning as well, that people just aren't buying it?
Well, I definitely feel that way on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. I definitely feel, a lot of blue checks are saying that Johnny deserves an apology. But I'm still seeing the same mainstream media pushing her narrative, refusing to backtrack, these clickbait titles, and they're meant for people not watching the trial. I mean, it's ridiculous. I can't believe they're still pushing the narrative that she's telling the truth and he must be an abuser.
I mean, I feel like it's getting better. Brian, what is your take on how the media is still doing this? Are you seeing the tide turning a bit, or are you still frustrated on how the mass media is covering the trial?
Overall, I guess I'd say it's frustration. I share the same feelings as Laura. However, I agree. I think it's a really great point to say that is for those who aren't watching the trial. This thing is 100% televised, streamed, covered. There's nothing they can hide. So I think you're kind of seeing that public outcry, that public frustration of being lied to and knowing you're being lied to about certain things with these headlines and these publications and everything like that. But you're seeing a little bit of a turn. If you're not seeing the complete flip or I feel like just the apology that Johnny Depp deserves, and a lot of people feel he deserves, I feel like you're at least seeing them willing to print some of the things, or some of the major things Amber Heard has done, essentially the crimes she's committed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's eye-opening. I mean, the Australia tapes that we spotlighted when we really sent some folks over, the incident after the finger, which I guess they can't show and play in court because so many other people are speaking, but it's just frustrating that we can't get the full truth out. However, the rest of the public seems to really be finally listening and paying attention. And I can tell you, Laura, the real people, we've been doing video series, my buddy Lewis over at Nerd Report. He's asking random people on the street. I literally was telling my audience the other day, I went to the dentist, the receptionist who didn't really have any feelings whatsoever. I was like, well, I'm curious. Tell me, you've seen clips, I imagine. She's like, yeah. Like, what do you think? Are you Johnny, Amber? She's like, that Amber girl seems crazy. Just to see these everyday people finally, seeing enough to and make their own judgment call, I think is very telling. So I'm encouraged. I feel good regardless of what happens with this outcome, because it's complicated. It's about one article, defamation. He could still lose this article fight and still be innocent, guys. And so it's a frustrating back and forth. However, I think in the court of public opinion, he's won. I want to get your thoughts in general on things, but let's go to the first topic at hand, which is Whitney. There's been rumors even that chatter saying Whitney wasn't deposed. She's not going to be a witness, but now we're getting insight that she is. Laura, have you confirmed, hearing these from reliable sources as well, that Whitney, in fact, will take the stand next week?
Well, they've announced it through the media that she will be. Now, the last we saw that Depp team had filed an opposition to her witness list, and that was for Whitney, that she had not completed her deposition. She apparently had given, she's represented by Braderhoff, so she's represented by the same attorney. So that's important, because now we might have a little bit of conflict of interest. She gave 3.5 hours of testimony, and she is pregnant, or she was pregnant. Then they said, look, I can't continue this. So they had to stop. They tried to reschedule it, and Braderhoff said, fine, we'll reschedule it, but I'm going to use up all the time for myself. You're not getting any time with Whitney, which I don't even know how that could happen, but that's what we're reading. And then Ben filed against it and said, look, she never sat for a depo for us. So we have a choice. Either she gives us 3.5 hours of depo, or she should not testify. So I can only assume that she's done the depo.
Right. She has to have done the depo. None of us are lawyers, but she has to do the depo. So if she is, in fact, taking the stand, that must mean that Johnny's team did get some time with her.
Right. And as far as I know, she had a baby on or about March 8th or the week before. So, she is a new mom. Yeah, that's an interesting picture.
Before we get to some of the data we know about Whitney, what is your feeling on her, Laura, Brian, based on things you've heard? Just top line, Laura, I'll start with you. What is your reaction to Whitney?
I think she's terrified of her sister growing up. I think that was shown in that reality video that, she had gotten into a physical fight with her sister. She was the bruised one. She's a little bit younger. She's not that much younger. She keeps talking about her baby sister. And I think, what is she, a year and a half younger?
Yeah,
if
something
two
like,
full.
Yeah.
So she should be a very capable woman, but I think in this family, being the baby of the family, I think she's terrified, Amber.
Do you agree, Brian? What is your take on Whitney and Amber's relationship based on what we've read and seen?
based on everything we've read, everything we've seen, even during Johnny's testimony when he got up on the stand, of course they objected. Surprise, surprise. They objected to him talking about how he observed Whitney and the relationship with Amber, and how Whitney maybe didn't have the confidence or anything like that. But we know, like Laura mentioned, we know from the video that Amber's assaulted her, and I just think that she very much took the sidekick role of. They both moved to Hollywood. They both wanted to make it, and I feel like maybe Amber was willing to be a little more cutthroat when it came to that, and Whitney took a back seat to a lot of that.
Yeah, fair take. All right, so Laura, you've helped us. You have a thread here as well. If you want to help me walk through sort of what best points here, but go ahead, set this up for me. What do we know so far about Whitney, Amber's sister?
Well, I found her UK statement real quickly while we were getting on. She lived in PH4, which is right next to PH3. It was connecting. So we have her there for the staircase incident, which was March 2015. She claimed she came back on or about December 16th, 2015 to collect her belongings. And that's where she saw the damaged bed. She really exaggerated the bed issue. To the point that she said that she saw in the splinter blood and hair. And even Amber hasn't claimed that. So she's gone above and beyond to either support Amber or to intentionally undermine her. And I'm not sure which to rely on. But she did give the live testimony through the whole time. She was looking up into where Amber was sitting. David Sherborne at some point accused them of texting each other at different times. Remember now, they were not supposed to talk as witnesses through the entire time that they were in the UK, and yet they were sitting next to each other up in the courtroom all the time. Typically, that's not normal for witnesses. Now, Judge Nichols gave Amber permission to sit in the courtroom in case NGN needed to refer to her, but I'm not sure how her sister was able to sit in through the entire trial and prepare herself for what Johnny was saying and what she was going to have to mold her story to.
So, all right. So, what do we have? Because in this thread you're sharing, what are we have? What is the damage? This is the damage after the fight. Is that what I'm looking at here?
Yeah, this is Johnny had pushed down the
all the when she went up after that big fight and he threw we've heard about this. He threw the stuff on the ground.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really interesting is
this is the cast.
The cast, while he had this cast on while he allegedly pushed, which does offer a lot of interesting questions as to how he would have done that.
He allegedly grabs somebody by the hair and punched somebody in the face repeatedly. I mean,
hard to do with that that T-Rex arm.
Yeah. I don't see how he could have. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So this is important to remember. This is the cast he had on during this alleged incident.
And Debbie Lloyd does not suggest that that's a hard cast. She thinks it's a soft cast because he would do this with it. So that would make, to me, say that his finger was even more painful if he connected with something because he had the surgery and the pin and the figure. And if you're able to move a soft cast, you're not getting as much protection there, I would think.
So this is Sherborne's testimony? Wait, this is
his closing.
Got it. Okay, so everyone in this account misheard. We're having a serious argument at the occasion. Mr. McGivern does Travis, the security account, is that he went to the penthouse as a result of being called by Mr. Depp because the argument he was close to by both of them facing Mr. Depp when Miss Heard landed her punch on Mr. Depp. If Travis's account of where he was located is accepted, the account that Mr. Depp was about to push Whitney down the stairs simply makes no sense. Travis would have been in the way. Further, not only is Miss Heard's account... Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's an important statement because he's sticking to that statement here. Nothing's changed here in Virginia. Mr. McGivern would have been in the way, and that's exactly what he testified to. Sorry, Andy.
But thank you for. Furthermore, Miss Heard's account of Mr. Depp also grabbing her by the hair and punching her in the head is fanciful. She had failed to take account the fact that Mr. Depp had his seriously injured finger in a cast. She and this is Whitney, right, Henriquez, then had to add those details into their accounts later, where they had never previously appeared. Miss Heard had even alleged that Mr. Depp, in addition to hitting her with the cast, also hit Whitney with the cast. Miss Heard's sudden allegation that Mr. Depp had pushed Kate Moss down the stairs was not only a startling one, but was one of many examples when Miss Heard too took the opportunity to further badmouth Mr. Depp from the witness box. Now, as we go through this, what's interesting apparently Judge Nichols in the UK trial, right, discredited Travis because his account changed. But then when Whitney and Amber's account changed and forgot details, he was like, oh, well, I believe them, but not Travis. Correct, Laura?
Oh, yeah, they were changing dates all along with the paintings and stuff. And what Travis is saying, wait, there's two parts here. I didn't lie. Yes, Debbie and I stood outside the apartment during the argument, and then we entered. The beginning part of that was a whole nother story where I met him downstairs. I went and got Debbie. We brought her back. We went up. Amber was downstairs. We went upstairs. So he was essentially starting with part two when he entered into the argument. So there was nothing wrong with what he was saying. He wasn't hiding anything. It was just when they tried to get him to recount it, they're like, oh, wait a minute, you're missing steps before I entered the apartment.
Which both Amber and Whitney did as well, but somehow the UK judge gave them the belief and not the witnesses.
But he wasn't changing his story.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. Correct. But I mean, that's what Judge Nichols said. But again, to show how tainted that whole was. So this was the judgment from Nichols, which it's so irritating to read. I guess let's see here. The affairs don't matter. I didn't know there was a alleged affair with Rocky and Mr. Depp. But he throws all that away. Even none of that matters. It doesn't have to do with what we're talking about at hand. He says, regarding the most reliable account of what took place as the text sent by Miss Lloyd, they are written very shortly after the events describing, therefore, it's a near contemporaneous account. Miss Lloyd was also independent of both Mr. Depp and Miss Heard. It is plain from these texts that this argument was not simply a verbal argument. She speaks of them getting violent again. It's also a plain from what Miss Lloyd said in her text that there was violence on both sides. Miss Heard has accepted that she punched Mr. Depp, but it is clear from Miss Lloyd's text that she was not the sole aggressor. As Miss Lloyd said, we had to restrain both of them. Yeah, that's really frustrating because he could be defending himself, right, Laura? But he's taking this text as, well, clearly Johnny was starting it and aggressing her as well.
Yeah, no, it makes no sense. When you take in all of the testimony we have so far, Johnny said he went up the stairs. He saw Whitney because he could see past Travis. Whitney had her back to Johnny, basically protecting Johnny. I mean, that's the protective stance. If you're going to stop somebody from attacking someone, you put your back to them. So Amber would have been the one attacking. Travis couldn't see Whitney because he's also between them facing Johnny because he's trying to take Johnny away. He's trying to push Johnny away, take him down the stairs. So he couldn't necessarily see what Whitney was doing behind him. But what he did see was Amber's arm come around his head and connect with Johnny in the face. Is that what you saw here, Brian?
That's my understanding of it. And Whitney did testify to that she was facing Amber when she went up there to intervene. I guess that she was that I take that as very much you're stopping the aggression and it's coming from this direction.
So then to add more to it, Mr. Nickel, he does acknowledge that there was no Red Bull thrown by Mr. Depp. He'll give Johnny that much. That's about as much he gives him.
Yeah, but that's because he says Amber doesn't drink Red Bull.
Okay, got it. This judge is the worst is what we're trying to prove to you guys. We all agree that Mr. Depp still had a cast on his injured right hand. He's right-handed, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Johnny is right-handed, so it's his dominant hand is in a cast. But in Miss Lloyd's account, which I just read to you, we had to restrain them both. They're getting violent again implies that, well, Miss Lloyd's account, which I find to be true, did not stop him from being one of those who was violent or having to be physically restrained. So because he was defensive or angry or they were both sort of tussling, therefore Johnny must have tried to abuse her and throw her down the stairs by this judge's ruling. That's why all those were he was found guilty in the UK just based off this ridiculous assumption by the judge. And then they go on to explain here that Amber's gets the stories wrong. She didn't mention in her first hearing, yada, 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 but I accept she says, in any event, her admission to mention the aspect was because she did not, in her witness statement, include all the details. She said that in any event, that was a minor incident by comparison to what had happened in Australia only a few weeks earlier. So I accept those explanations for why her statement did not mention that matter. I mean, what the hell's up with this dude?
I know. There was another part there where she had thrown her purse at Johnny and Travis blocked it. And Judge Nichols, oh no, she couldn't have thrown her purse. She was in her pajamas.
Pajamas.
She was in her pajamas. She couldn't have. Exactly.
Yeah,
This
she
was
had
the
it up
thinking
in
of
the
the judge
office.
who made the whole call in the UK. In the short, I accept that Mr. Depp did, here it is, I got to be careful with my words, did A, misheard, as she and the defendants have alleged in Incident 9. I can't figure out how he made that deduction based on all the evidence that we have. How frustrating is this for you, Brian, when you
Very
see this
frustrating, yeah.
judge just completely ignore everything and be like, well, yeah, you know, look, it's a minor incident compared to what happened. She forgot some details, but I believe her.
That's where the frustration just goes. It reaches a boiling point that it's almost like he had his decision made up, and the more she added, he was like, oh crap, I've got to twist this. I've got to say, well, she was in her pajamas, or I've got to say she doesn't even drink Red Bull. Well, that's okay. Like, she may not drink vodka either, but she threw that bottle. He went through so many mental gymnastics to try to make this work, to try to make it fit what he had already decided to do. That's how I feel. That's opinion, but holy cow, it certainly looks that way. Everyone that says read the judgment, the people that are pro Amber Heard that say read the judgment, it's a long judgment. It's got a lot of details in it. Yeah, it's got a lot of details in it that he says he doesn't care about. The audios and things like that. It's got a lot of details in it. I recommend everyone read the entire judgment and just let your eyes roll to the back of your head as you do it. It's ridiculous.
You will. You'll need a drink. You'll need a mega pint for that one for sure. It's unbelievable. So that just so you, as we break all this down, this is an important incident because this is the one where apparently, he was trying to push Whitney down the stairs, and Whitney is going to be on the stand, it seems, next week talking about this incident. So it's important you have all the data as we go through. So, all right. So walk me through this next point. So this is from Vince. Who's Vince Jolivet?
He used to date Whitney.
Interesting. So he under perjury, he explains that they became friends. We dated in the summer of 2017. Hard worker. During a conversation we had in the spring of 2016, I asked Whitney why she had moved in with Jennifer Howell, the founder of the Art of Elysium. She relayed to me a story about having to stop her sister Amber from attacking Johnny, and in the process, how Amber almost knocked her down a flight of stairs. Interesting. Do we know more about like his credibility? Does this guy seem like a bitter ex, or does this guy actually seem like an honest fella?
No, he seems honest. He seems to be friends of the Art of Elysium. So he was supporting Jennifer Howell and saying, yeah, they're calling. A lot of people were afraid to go on record. Jennifer went on record. She was furious to hear that Whitney had said, I had no place to live. My boss let me sleep on her floor or couch. And Jennifer Howell came back and said, wait, hold up. No way. I gave you a bedroom to sleep in. I took you in.
So Jennifer Howell was sort of running this art exhibit, just so people are clear as you're explaining this.
Well, Whitney used to work for her. I think maybe as a receptionist somehow, and then she got into some other work for her. But she said the incident on the stairs, that was one of the inciting events that led you to ask to move in with me. You told me and others on staff that you tried to stop Amber from attacking Johnny and nearly got thrown down the stairs. At no point in time was it ever said to me that Johnny had hit Amber nor abused her in any way. Had you ever expressed the concern that Johnny was abusing Amber, I would have gotten a social worker or someone to help you remove your sister from that situation.
Yep.
So yeah, this is a big deal.
So this Jennifer was very upset because basically she caught the lies, and she unlike many, she actually had the guts to step forward and say that wasn't true. And so she was in this. Again, judge ignored all of this. Why did he discredit her testimony? We don't know. He just discredited everybody.
She didn't testify. This came in afterwards because Whitney was one of the last people on the stand. So this blew up like, whoa, wait a minute, time out. And they tried to get it in the appeal, but it was considered hearsay. They couldn't bring it in.
Are they allowed to bring her in if Whitney testifies about this? Is that something Johnny can do because he can bring in new witnesses if they're brought up, correct?
Well, she's not a new witness. She's listed on the witness list. So yeah, he
could activate her. So great. So just so you guys know, Jennifer is on the list, and if need be, she can recount this story again. And as she says here, incident was inciting incidents where you asked to move in with me and others, the staff. You tried to stop Amber from attacking Johnny and nearly got thrown down the stairs. At no point in time was it ever said to me that Johnny had hit Amber or any other similar accusation. Had you ever expressed concern that Johnny was doing that, I would have gotten you a social worker or someone to help you or move you from your sister. I would have done anything to help you. My father reminded me this morning that I told him that Whitney had moved in with me because she was terrified of her sister. So there you go, Laura. What your instincts were there. This was from Jennifer saying it.
And I think what I get from Jennifer is she was really upset that anyone would think she'd leave somebody in this situation. It wasn't just that Whitney was telling her that Amber almost hurt Johnny, but to hear the testimony that Amber was being hurt, Jennifer Howe was like, no, I would never leave a woman in that situation. And she was as insulted and upset about that part of it. But no, she was being told, to the point where I remember you were sitting in this chair telling me things. It's very clear facts.
In fact, here it is again after the Adderall diaries you shared with me and everyone in the office, and not just her, multiple people, that Amber freaked out, attacked you, and threw a wine glass full of red wine at you in the elevator. Again, my dates are uncertain, but I'm 100% certain of what you shared, and I've asked a few others who heard it in the office to make sure my facts are accurate. While Amber and Johnny were in Australia, you were in the office sitting in the black and white chairs near the kitchen and loudly proclaimed, "Oh my God, she has done it now. She has cut off his effing finger." I'm not sure if this was before or after Boo and Pistol were back in the U.S. and coming into the office. Other staff at the time might have better grasp. So in regards to the extramarital affairs, I only have the information you and others have shared with me. It's my understanding that it's completely irrelevant other than James giving a sworn testimony to what he did or did not see in Amber's face. I told Adam that James, this is James... Franco. Okay, that's what I thought. We're asked if anything I know about a shadow of a doubt that he would speak to the truth because I know his heart and his consciousness and the spiritual journey that he's on to be accountable for anything he's ever done that might have inadvertently hurt anyone and go to great lengths to make amends, to do what was right. I encouraged him to speak to James directly. When Elon came up in the deposition, I shared only what I know from you and Paige. February, when I came to see you and meet Hunter, is when this conversation with you and your mom took place. I told them I had been told that Elon had gifted Teslas, but Amber found out that they were bugged. I was told that Amber said he was controlling, abusive, and that she was in a legal battle with him over the rights to embryos that they created together. That's where this came from, Jennifer's testimony as we reported this. He wanted to destroy them. Amber tried to keep them to have a baby. That is the day that your mother told me that Johnny was either an angel or a saint compared to Elon, and she wished that Amber and Johnny would reconcile. It was indeed taken aback because this is after the divorce when Hunter was under a year old and I was at your house. She told me that Amber and Johnny were still in touch and that were each other's true loves or something that sentiment. You were going through these emotions and had a baby. You were still going through the emotions of having had a baby and all those ups and downs, and I could not believe that Amber and Johnny's relationship was being discussed while you were the one who needed to be the focal point and needed our support. Yeah. Anyway, it continues, but hugely damning evidence that again points to Whitney. Who's being honest is now the question, right? Because it seems like why would all these people come up out of the woodwork for what attention? They're not making money. They're not writing a book. And this is not a declaration. Just be reminded, this is a personal letter she wrote Whitney. This was a mano a mano to say, hey, don't let this be happening to you. You're worth more than this. I think the Elon situation with the bugged Teslas, that really plays into what Dr. Curry said about this borderline personality, this histrionic personality disorder. Amber has to be the center of everything. She's been claiming Johnny's jealous of her over and over again. And I think a lot of men are healthy jealous in a relationship. But here she's now blamed another man. He's got the Teslas bugged. I mean, she's going off again on now Elon that's been told to Jennifer. So I think she just exaggerates these jealousy things that she's claiming Johnny. Yeah, we did a report with Christopher Melcher this morning about how she, with the restraining order, and how the parents were texting Johnny almost apologizing and trying to explain, no, it wasn't her. It was the lawyers. We love you, son. They were afraid of her too. Yeah. You could tell that her own parents were just like, please don't tell her I wrote this type of feeling. And as I heard it, I was like, that read to me like, they're being lied to too. Whitney, the parents, they're all being told these lies by Amber, it seems, to keep the story going. Brian, is that your vibe too, that even Amber's own relatives are sort of living in fear and is going off what she's telling them, which probably may not be accurate?
Only going off what she's saying, they're going off what she tells them. I agree with that. It's the text messages after the relationship ended, the seemingly apologizing to Johnny. She tells her dad to F off. There's the text messages the night of May 21st when she's just covering all her bases, texting everyone saying, Johnny hit me. Now all of a sudden, cat's out of the bag. I kept it a secret except for the night that I really needed a lot of people to know and corroborate what I said. Yeah. and she texts her. Was it collectively her parents, Laura, or was it just her mom when she said, "I'll never speak to you again. It's so help me, I'll never speak to you again if you defend him," or anything like that? Like, she says something along those lines, correct?
I think it was to both of them, but it was especially to her dad. It was really focused to her dad because of this buddy-buddy relationship they have. Tell Dad if he ever speaks to him again, or talks to Johnny, I won't speak to him again. You know, she was trying to make sure they did not get Johnny's side. They did not know that they were in contact. I mean, she just assumed that when she laid down the law, they obeyed. Do not talk to Johnny. And nobody did. Well, but actually they did, but she assumed they didn't. So they got his side of the story. And this came up before with Aaron back on December 15th or thereabouts, when she was complaining about Johnny maybe using cocaine. And Aaron said, maybe I better check in with him. She's like, no, don't call him. Don't contact him.
Right, they didn't want they don't want him to actually tell the truth. She wanted to keep the narratives going. So I mean, because I want to talk about Ellen Barkin as well, because that's the next big witness. But other final thoughts on Whitney? It seems.
Oh, I do. Let me go over a
ahead.
little bit with Whitney. So now we have this other incident, the December 15th incident with the bed. She decides to chime in. Her witness statement. I do remember going over around that time to collect some of my things. Now she had moved out by then, staying with her boss. And I had left a bunch of things there. I remember seeing a bed was disheveled. It was a very heavy wood frame, and I noticed it had splintered and there was a chip in the wood. Now that's the bed she would have slept in PH4, right, Brian? Yeah. There was blonde hair and blood stuck in the splinter of the bed frame. Now, we've seen the pictures. I had not heard about the fight on December 15th at that point because Amber and I were not speaking at that time. But it was I was immediately alarmed. I remember imagining the kind of force it would take to do that because it was such a heavy and solid frame. I don't exactly remember the day, but it was on or around December 15th. So it couldn't have been on December 15th because it didn't happen until the evening. I didn't think to take a picture of it. In fact, I didn't think we would ever have to document this. At this time, I wasn't speaking with Amber, so I didn't immediately raise this particular incident with her, but I remember very worried and resolved to figure out a way to reconcile with her. Now, Amber took a picture of the bed. That's what's been put into evidence. Kevin Murphy also took. There was never any hair and blood, so I don't know what Whitney thought she was doing here.
Helping her sister. It seems clear she's just ready to help her at any cost. The letter here isn't going to get to her. That's why I know a lot of people in the community are just hoping Whitney will finally do the right thing, but it doesn't seem that way. It seems like she's cut from the same cloth and will defend her sister at any cost. Is that the vibe you guys get?
Yeah, it definitely seems like she's locked in to what she's already said and what she's going to say, and she's just going to keep repeating the script. She's too deep. She's too deep into it, and I just think that she's not going to flip the way people think that she might or could or should.
But she could screw up on the stand, right, Laura?
Yeah, I don't think she's going to bring up the blood and the hair. I think she's been reprimanded for that. Even Laws says, what you've done in this is you've added a rather dramatic detail in order to support your sister. She goes, no, I disagree. I'm telling the truth. Perhaps you've enlivened it, referring to the bed frame. Well, that's what I recall seeing. And Laws says, this is Johnny's attorney, nobody else has mentioned that. And you have sat through the evidence. She's literally been in there in the room. She goes, I can't speak to that. I don't know why it's missing from theirs. I can only tell you what I recall. She says, you're lying. She goes, no, I'm not. So I'm guessing we're not going to see this statement with the blood and hair in the UK and in Virginia. And I don't think Johnny's going to jump to want to bring it in for the jury either.
Yeah, I mean, she can, like you just did, she can just be like, oh, that's I recall. I don't know why there's not a picture of it. I'm sure it was there. And Amber can then even, if she has to, oh, yeah, no, there was. At this point, they'll say whatever they have to say, like you said, Brian, because they've gotten in so deep. It's scary. But, yeah, I don't know. I believe these third-party statements. I don't know why these artists and people who aren't even really associated with Johnny would come forward with such statements that aren't accurate. And also seeing the text messages of the parents and et cetera, like, it seems they're all afraid of her. So again, that doesn't make her very credible, and frustrated that the judge was trusting the sister and Amber over actual third-party witnesses that were much clearer on what happened. Any other final thoughts here on Whitney before we move on to Ellen Barkin?
Just that a lot of that can't come in. What you were talking about, the parent statements and all this.
Correct.
This hearsay stuff drives me crazy. This whole thing with the Australia audio drives me crazy. That stuff can't come in.
Yeah.
Crazy indeed.
That's the frustrating part, is you just can't bring it in if somebody else said it or if it's somebody else on the audio. That's the frustrating part, is the hearsay thing. It's what we all hear. I don't get it.
I don't get it either, but we're hoping it'll still come through. But speaking of hearsay, oh yikes! There she is, Miss Ellen Barkin. She seems quite happy in life right now, not bitter at all. Look, Miss Ellen Barkin did a lot of movies back in the day. A lot of people are like, who the hell's Ellen Barkin? I remember her in Sea of Love. I remember her back in The Big Easy with Dennis Quaid. She's done a lot of more the 80s. Switch was her movie I remember watching, early 90s, when she was sort of all the rage. But if you go through her IMDb, she's no longer really the rage. And so, but she's still raging. She's raging over a period of a love affair. She had a short one with Johnny Depp. So we have some documents and things to go through here to sort of prep you guys, because Laura, it seems that Ellen Barkin is not going to paint Johnny very well, correct?
No, and what we have that I can find is a 2019 deposition. So if she comes in, as we're expecting, it'll be another deposition video. Both sides will have their questions. Both sides then have now argued what the video is going to be knocked down to. So there's not going to be the hearsay. All that's going to be taken out.
It's just weird. Why are we going to waste so much time on Ellen Barkin's random, who also admits that he was never violent. She doesn't. I mean, not with anybody, but she says, I guess he had violent tendencies. It's sort of like,
the only thing I can think of is Johnny defined domestic abuse as physical, emotional, and mental, and that he's never been violent with any other woman. And somebody else said that he's never been violent with any woman. And I guess they're trying to argue that.
Well, here's a
throwing
woman.
bottle in the room.
Right. Here's a woman who's going to claim otherwise. So, all right. So, what do we know about Ellen Barkin, Laura, and her credibility?
Well, she's very angry. I don't know how they're going to be able to bring her in with some of her other anger issues she has from her divorce, throwing a glass of wine or water in her ex-husband's face. I think I read in one of those passages, but she's coming off saying, like, Johnny did drugs. He did all these other drugs that Johnny denies. I have his testimony too. That he's like, I don't know why she's saying this. I was doing pot at the time and I was drinking red wine. I wasn't drinking spirits. I wasn't doing hallucinogens back then. I wasn't into all that. I wasn't doing, she tried to suggest he took LSD. She's like, no. He says, no, I didn't take any of that stuff. She said, he changed when he drank and used drugs. And they said, how did he change? Well, he got high. Well, you smoke pot, you get high. That doesn't mean you become violent. So what? He became high. But he denies that there was any argument. I mean, for all we knew, he threw an empty bottle into the garbage can across the room.
Right.
That's
Mr. Depp threw a wine bottle across the room. Did he yell at you? Did he yell at you? Not that I can recall. Jesus.
No.
Did he yell at anyone that you witnessed? Did Mr. Depp ever hit you? No, he did not. Did he ever kick you? No, he did not. Did he ever cause anything to physically touch you in a way? No, he did not.
So all of this is in the depot that's going to this. They're reading this to Johnny because
did the bottle hit anybody? The bottle didn't even hit anybody else.
Nope. She's not even saying the bottle broke.
So that's
the bottle was thrown at nobody. It was thrown at nobody. However, whatever manner it was thrown in was to nobody. And I think they're just trying to establish that he has, like you said, those violent tendencies, that he can, get angry. I don't know. So it's desperate. It's 25-year-old situation of a scorned ex-lover. Is how it looks like.
Did anyone say anything else? No. This was a room you had called assistance, and yes, I can tell you unequivocally that Miss Barkin's statements about what she believes happened is not at all what happened, right? So she must be lying because you could possibly not be mistaken about an incident, something throwing a bottle across a room. I do not want to call anyone a liar, but I can tell you that never happened. That incident never happened. Yeah. So basically, he allegedly threw a bottle in the room, which Johnny says didn't happen, and that's why we're now bringing on Ellen Barkin. So there's, here's two things you also shared with me, Laura. She made headlines for auctioning off all the jewelry he'd given her for $20 million and throwing a drink of water at his face when they bumped into each other at the Waverly Inn. Lovely.
Yeah. There was another excerpt there too, I think, that was good here.
So this is a sexual element began with Miss Barkin, which this is Johnny talking, right?
This is Johnny, yeah.
Sexual element began with Miss Barkin because they did Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, guys, which lasted for months and on and off, really, because she was making the film I was making at the time, Fear and Loathing, and I suppose her desires were she wanted more than a relationship. She wanted a proper relationship with me, and I did not want that. Depp said via the Daily Mail, I didn't feel the same about her, and she did me, and I suppose from that moment on, she became very, very angry, and since then, I have not spoken to Miss Barkin, nor has Miss Barkin spoken to me. So that's Johnny's excuse of just like, look, this was, we hooked up. Yeah, she liked me. she wanted more, and I haven't talked to her since. It's weird because she's not even making really any awful allegations aside from he threw a wine bottle. Why do you think she's getting involved in this in the first place?
I think she's part of this Me Too, believe all women, and she's just happy to get her name involved, is the impression I got. Now, one of the things I want to point out with the UK, she did not testify. They used her unedited deposition. You remember, any deposition video that's going to come into Virginia, both sides have argued, objected to, the judges approved. That's not what happened in the UK. They just cherry picked the worst possible things they could read to Johnny, and that's the worst.
Right.
I'm not sure what she's going to bring into the Virginia trial.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if she has some new allegations or something. But yeah, I
It's
wonder.
the same deposition, Andy.
Oh, it's
as
the
far
same.
as
They're
I
playing the
know.
same UK one, is what you're assuming. Interesting. So we already know
This
sort of
thing-
that's what's going to be played, which is kind of crazy. It would not put me past this defense at all to just play that again as if it's some smoking gun. That's wild.
Yeah. I can only find one subpoena. It's from 2019. She gave her deposition. They used the Virginia deposition. They read from it in the UK, unedited. The worst parts, I would assume, like I said, and that's all. Unless she was deposed again, we're not aware of it. There's only one subpoena issued.
Well, it's interesting because I've seen, I looked at her Twitter and stuff. She definitely is like super liberal, Me Too person, no doubt. But I wonder if she's going to regret this now, seeing how the tables have turned, right? It will be interesting. She's probably not. She's probably just going to triple down. But she's going to get, I think she's going to get backlash based on how the internet and everyone is going, right? And so for her to be there as the lone person of he threw a wine bottle once is probably not going to play well to this community, Laura. Do you get that vibe too? Do you think she's going to potentially regret coming forward to say this?
Well, let's remember, she was subpoenaed. She didn't have a choice.
Fair.
She was subpoenaed. She gave her deposition. That's all she's done. She hasn't volunteered to testify. She may not even be happy her deposition is being used right now.
Right, which is good to know. She will clarify her statements as this blows up, but clearly the defense is going to use her as a celebrity woman who's complaining about Johnny. What do you think she's going to have regrets or speak up, Brian, or you think this is just sort of, look, I did my legal obligation, I was honest, I don't like Johnny? What are your thoughts, Brian?
I think she doesn't like him. Obviously, I think she doesn't like him. I think she is fulfilling her legal obligation. I think she would love for nothing more than to just throw a little salt at this. You know, she feels it's an open wound and she can throw a little salt in it. She's going to do it. And I think that's just what she is, salty. I believe she's saying everything she can say in any sort of fashion to make him look like a bad guy. And even if it doesn't help Amber, it hurts him. And that's all she's kind of caring about right now. She seems bitter and she's very angry. I know she's been through some things in her own life and she's rightfully frustrated over a few things. And I never want to take anything like that away from her, but I think she's just jumping on this bandwagon. And right now it's not a good bandwagon to be on. It just makes her look bitter.
Yeah, I mean, but I think you both said it well. I mean, if she's really just was deposed back then and this is an old tape, I'm a little less angry at her, but it's clear she's just I think bitter is the word, right? And sometimes you just don't get over that lost love. Hey, it'd be hard for a lot of you chat people to get over Johnny Depp, I'm sure. So if Johnny Depp's rejecting you, yeah, you might have a little remorse and be like, damn it. But it's sad she couldn't have just, not mentioned it. She didn't have to he threw a bottle once. But that's exactly the kind of shit that this defense is just clamoring over to try and find anything they can to try and expose him. Have you guys been shocked at the levels of desperation that the defense has resorted to through this trial? Brian, what's been your biggest sort of moment? Because I know you were there, you saw some of these days too at the trial. What's been your biggest sort of wow, I can't believe they're doing that?
We think, God, there's been so much. It's got to be the text messages. Okay, so the big one for me, and it was when Johnny was up there, is so Rottenborn is just known for, did I read that right? Did I read that right? When he reads the text message that is clearly, can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, okay. I was doing my soundbite of it. Yeah.
So when he reads the text messages, where Johnny says something about, I have other uses for your throat, and and he says it like twice or maybe a third time, and Johnny just goes, "Can you read that again?" It's so daft, and I'm just like, you think you're really nailing it? Like, you think you're doing something with this, and all you're doing is just making, a jackass out of yourself, really.
He's making a meme, right? Deep Depth Throat became trending. Yeah, that was a good moment. Laura, what about you? Are you shocked to see the level of desperation that they've been resorting to?
I am really bothered about them bringing up audios, for example, and like they'll have texts and they're like, this is the date of this text, this is the time. But with the audios, they've intentionally not dated them. And the thing that bothers me the most is the one where Johnny's in pain. And at one point, they asked the voice in the background, isn't that Jerry Judge's? I think that's what they asked. Now, if that's true, then that I would think that wouldn't be admissible, because that's why the audios in Australia are not admissible when Jerry's in there. So if that's not Jerry and Johnny is saying it's at the Bahamas, well, Kipper was there. That could be Kipper saying, look, I want to stay here in case he gets sick. And that would make sense to Johnny that it's more the Bahamas. And we've seen a video of that basically one-room cabin where he could be in bed and she could be right there in the kitchen with her recording him groaning, or he's in the bathroom groaning and she's doing stuff in the kitchen, which is essentially the same room. We've seen mosquito netting. I don't know whether they have air conditioning or fans running in Bahamas. And when was he there? July, August?
Right, I think so.
Detox, that could account for the background noise. But to have that male voice, and it can't be Jerry, or they wouldn't be able to show it, right?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past anything. They're being as sneaky as they can.
That team would have stopped it.
I mean, or do we not know who's on the tape? I don't know. I guess you'd think they'd know by now which voice is which on that tape. They've probably gone through and transcribed it like crazy. Yeah. Many moments clearly are frustrating us all, but be prepared. Next week we will have some more. And there was desperation to bring up Ellen Barkin, and it really, I guess I didn't even realize it's going to be potentially that old UK deposition. I didn't know they were allowed to do that. I thought they had to have new depositions.
No,
for
this
case.
is the Virginia deposition.
Oh, so she did do it. She
did a deposition in Virginia that was used for the UK.
Oh, interesting.
So and Josh Drew's deposition for Virginia was also done in 2019. It's also very old, which is going to be really interesting, because his deposition, if they use it, was before body cam came out, where he describes all this destruction that the body cam now says, oops, no, that couldn't have happened unless you went and had a 1-hour Amazon delivery to replace all the broken stuff.
It's true. No, they cleaned it up fast, Laura. That's what they say. With some Amica cream, I think it was, right? Just wipe it on everything, it all just goes away.
And the other thing, all of it, yeah, all the walls, they cleaned up everything. I love how Pug has done this, and SEC, I guess Stevie J. Raw. There's these Andy files. I haven't seen them. I mean, I've seen them I've never received them, but I found it interesting that they were showing like some of the damage. The one in the wood floor stopped before it got to the expensive carpet. We made sure it was only on the wood floor where they could clean it up. It stopped before the Oriental or whatever carpets. There was one stem of a broken wine glass, and that was it. Things were tipped over that are all there in the real estate photos. I don't know how they're going to get around all that when she finally gets to May 21. She's already put one picture into December 15th. She's already got that mixed up.
Any other comments? Because I appreciate you guys being here. You're always welcome, and thank you for all the work that you've done. Any other sort of things to expect for next week? We'll go to both of you. I'll start with you, Laura. Any other things you expect we're gonna see or prepare for this week that fans should be aware of?
Well, I'm confused because when her team wanted to do the dismissal, they wanted to do the strike, saying Johnny had met his burden. One of the things that came up that the judge talked about was, well, wait a minute, I don't know about the statement, the title, because I understand there's a tweet to be brought in, and I understand there's a stipulation that neither party is calling each other for their chief in case. So when Amber takes the stand in her chief in case, or case in chief, this tweet will come in. And that's what I heard. Now I'm hearing some of the legal pundits are saying that no, Johnny stipulated that they wouldn't call Amber. Well, I don't know why that'd be one-sided, because now we're hearing she's going to call Johnny. So I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not having any inside information. I'm just surprised because it's not lining up with what I thought I heard the judge say about nobody calling each other. Like you get one shot at each other.
Interesting. Brian, anything you are expecting in the weeks to come? I guess we still got 2 more weeks.
I think it could. I think she takes another day or two to go through stories. She has to go through the damages she suffered. She has to go through April,
financial.
all that. I'll be interested to see how she starts trying to lay some groundwork, knowing the questioning that's going to be coming her way in Cross, and what she tries to do to get ahead of things like Poopgate and the damages and the body cam footage and things like that. So I'm looking forward to the Cross, and I really hope they hold her feet to the fire and see if she can cave a little bit.
Based on all the information that's still left, do you think she's going to take all of Monday, or do you think we'll start Cross on Monday, or do you think it's going to be Tuesday?
Well, she has to get through her counterclaim. So she has to at least address those statements and how they came about, and the fact that Adam made them and not Johnny, and that Adam made them in London papers where her attorneys also made comments. So they were both commenting on the case. So there's that. Financial damages she's got to come up with, which we already know Warner Brothers came back and said, we didn't have her start filming till 2 weeks before Aquaman 2 because we had a disagreement about, what was it? What they usually say. We weren't sure we were going to use her.
Creative differences, whatever. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and we weren't going to pay her any more or less money, irregardless of what Johnny claimed, irregardless of this. So I don't know how this is going to be damages if they come out and said nothing that's happened or been said affected us hiring her or not, or paying her more or not. So yeah, she's got to prove her damages.
Yeah, she's got to do that. Johnny did finally get to that near the end. So, yeah, you're right. That could take at least a day. So we'll see Cross Monday or Tuesday, but I'm standing and praying for Camille to come through and just bring the fire. I know a lot of us are rooting for her, so can't wait to see how that goes, and I can't wait to see. Are you guys going back? Are you guys going to be covering it? Where can people find you both?
I'm going back the last week.
Okay.
Same. I'll be traveling for the last week and staying for the verdict and all that. So I'll be traveling this week.
And then do you have any more videos coming up, Brian, that people can be looking forward to? Are you working on more?
Yeah, I've kind of got a lot of balls in the air right now. So I was working on an April video for the birthday incident before all this started. But now that a lot of new stuff has come out, new testimony, I might switch some stuff around. I want to do a 3D tour of the penthouses, cover where things happen, so people can like zoom in, slow down, everything like that, other than just the pan around. And I've got like an old 5-minute video that I might publish that I've forgotten that I made that I hadn't published yet, and it's just about like the splintered door and stuff like that from 2014. So
yeah, that mysterious door.
Mm-hmm.
The mysterious door. Hey, I checked some dates for you. One of the things in the opening statement was Ben said she had never claimed sexual assault until recently. We have her original declaration she filed April 11, 2019, when they were trying to dismiss her venue. There was nothing mentioned in there for sexual assault at all.
Essay, call it essay, yep.
Sorry, there's nothing mentioned in there for essay at all on April 11th. On March 27th, that was when we got the judge's opinion on the demora she had filed to get the whole case kicked for First Amendment. The demora said, nope, these 3 statements are staying in, potentially defamatory. That included the title saying, I spoke up against SA because she had never claimed SA, and now that was coming in. So that was March 27th. On April 8th, there was a hearing in the UK that she wanted to testify in private because she was going to now claim SA.
I mean, that's a good point. The essay never really came out any other time, right? This is a new claim. Are you surprised how that's come forward?
I think it came forward because that title was being now staying in.
Right.
Brian, what do you think?
I'm shocked that it's I guess I was shocked when it came out. When it came forward during the UK trial, and it was the one incident of SA. And then we've added 2, 3 more. We're almost tagging it onto the end of so many instances and so many allegations of her other stories. We're just kind of tagging SA onto the end of it. And I don't know. That's the surprising part for me, is just how much further she'll keep going with that, or detail, or just tag-ons. that she keeps adding.
I mean, it feels very vengeful. Like she clearly, at this point, it feels like she's got nothing left to lose. And just listening to her and the tapes and everything else she's done, it feels like the last sort of just middle finger to Johnny of like, yeah, I'm just going to go all the way. You know what? F it. How is he going to prove otherwise? It's just seeing all the things she's done and the way she's lied and the way she's just covered things up. It honestly, it shocks me and it makes me sad, but it doesn't surprise me. Does it surprise you, Laura?
Well, I still think a lot when she first filed all those incidents on April 11th, 2019, which is the first time we heard of anything other than the TRO, was hopes, my speculation that Johnny would drop it. Like, oh my God, I don't want this stuff to come out, and he would have dropped it. Then when he didn't drop it and she was stuck with the title, then it was like, well, I'm going to claim SA. Now maybe he'll drop it. That was my speculation, that if she just keeps doing this, he'll give up at some point. But he didn't. He says, no, I'm all in. I didn't do any of this.
Well, I mean, it was also to add to you, like it was also to try to avoid the cameras, right? Because then the lawyers say, well, this is an SA.
That was just a few months ago.
Yeah.
And Elaine should have gotten in trouble for that because they had a confidentiality agreement. They have a protective order until trial, what goes out to the public. And she yelled out, or I shouldn't use the word yell, but stated on this open WebEx meeting that Courthouse News was on that, hey, I don't want the cameras because my client was ARD.
Right.
And everybody's like, that's confidential. That's protective order. You weren't supposed to do that. And she did that. I mean, I think
she's done that throughout the whole case as often as she can. It's despicable. Well, lots more on track this next week. I'm sure we'll be seeing more. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're not done. I'm just going to clip this portion, though, for people to make sure that you can see this entirety because I want you guys to be prepared for next week. Make sure, if you haven't already, go support that Brian fellow over at Incredibly Average on YouTube. So much great stuff if you haven't seen there. The audio tapes are just so well put together. Thank you again, sir, for all that hard work. Incredibly important, I think, for this movement. And then also, if you haven't already, you can go check out Laura's show, podcast with Jax over at Myths and Movie Myths and Monsters. I thought I had you up here. You're going to, it's The Real Laura B on Twitter. The Real Laura B. Make sure you go follow her as well. If you want insight on this trial, she is the authority. She's got it all for you, so make sure you go follow her over there. Such a pleasure to have you both. Guys, we're going to take some more calls. I have a couple quick things for them both. Don't go anywhere, but if you missed the full show, hit the join. You can always watch all the unedited versions of this show at your leisure. Appreciate you guys for being here. I got a cool video. Members, I just posted a video. I'll put a post so you see it. You get a sneak peek of what's coming this weekend, so stay tuned. I'm trying to give you more updates and things, so thanks for being a member, hitting the join, and thanks for being here. If you want to at least just hit subscribe, that one's free, and you can just hit it in the top left, or you can click on these videos. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Stay excellent to each other.